A good tree bears good fruit. A bad tree bears bad fruit. We can either be happy with good fruit we see in the various aspects of our lives or be saddened by the bad fruit we're yielding in the other aspects of our lives. The ideal reality we wish to see is us being like a healthy tree planted by the streams of water which yields its fruit every month and which the leaves never wither and whatever it does prosper. However, in many cases, to attain that reality is often difficult. So, how can then we make our lives become like a good tree which bears good fruit in season? How does our past hinder us or assist us in attaining our personal goals? In today's video, we'll be discussing 5 simple techniques that you can instantly adopt to make peace with your past and move forward wiser this time and stronger than ever. For the best strategies and tips on finally living the life of your dreams with the least resistance through making the right tweaks to your mindset and daily habits, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to get my latest uploads every week. So, tip number 1, focus on the tree and not the fruit. To become like a good tree that bears fruit in our present and future time, one needs to come to an understanding that the outcome of your life today has been largely shaped by you. For example, the decisions you've made and the ideologies you chose to live by. The events that happened in your past actually shaped who you became today. How you learn to adapt and respond to certain situations in your immediate environment, and so much more has everything to do with it. In the present, what you're currently perceiving is usually the fruit of what your past generated through the law of cause and effect. We looked at our relationships, history, our health, our goals, social economic status, and we're often not happy with what we see. The immediate response is usually blaming external factors or people instead of focusing on nourishing the roots of the tree with self care, self respect, a little bit of self sacrifice, and self reflection, coupled with some self confidence. Yes, the past may have exposed you to some harsh, adverse conditions that led you to be like an unhealthy tree producing some unhealthy fruit. However, to live with bitterness and resentment over that reality will only lead to the tree remaining in that unhealthy situation and eventually dying. When we focus on accepting that what happened to this tree happened, and yes, it wasn't right, however, you want to move on to attending to the needs of the tree in the now. Only then will you start to see positive change. Every well nourished tree automatically bears fruit, good fruit at that. Hence, let our primary focus or your primary focus be attending to the root of the problem rather than focusing on treating the symptoms. Be at peace with the past and do what you can now to create the reality that you truly desire. Tip number 2, dealing with past trauma. Almost everyone has went through some type of trauma, be it physical, emotional, verbal, domestic, or childhood abuse and trauma. With most of our needs, we were expecting from a little age for our primary caregivers to cater to these certain needs. But unfortunately, for most of us, sadly, little to none of these needs were met, which created isms in our adulthood lives. This leaves a generation like we're seeing today and in past decades of people struggling with all sorts of invisible yet clearly visible problems. These include struggles with an identity crisis, self worth, abandonment issues, low self esteem, constantly not feeling good enough, perfectionism, paralysis, self sabotage, imposter syndrome, and so much more. The list can go on and on and on. Internal turmoil, this causes all this internal storm going on, kind of like Osamehi, the Odu of Osamehi, in Ibi or Sogbo, or when we're met with resistance because of our mindset and how certain beliefs that we hold on to so dearly, like a vice grip, right? And this in turn throws our outer experience into a roller coaster of chaotic experiences. Ultimately, we can see that even though we are living in the present, we are also very much attached to the past through our emotions, through our beliefs, through our mindsets, and through the lens through which we view our world in a negative way. And clearly, it's no longer serving us. One would be entangled in all sorts of destructive coping mechanisms because of this that often do not work for the now. Now that you're an adult, now you can fend for yourself, now that you can speak up for yourself, now that you can walk away, etc., etc., and etc., right? And in most cases, they lead you or will lead you to reliving your painful past over and over again through your different relationships, whether that's romantic, whether that's familial, whether that's through friends, etc., etc. It will show its ugly head. Okay. Tip number three: carry the lesson with you forever, but not the past emotions. I repeat, what we're doing here is to learn how to detach the emotions from the lessons, always asking yourself, okay, what's the lesson here? Okay. And doing that self analysis, constantly seeking that self reflection. Okay. Because to evolve into becoming the best version of yourself, we all need to face certain challenges. Okay. The attitude in which you embrace is what will determine whether your past will make you or break you. So, to be at peace with the past, one has to consciously decide to actively attain that peace through wisdom, through grace, through being compassionate and patience with yourself, but at the same time, being honest, not brutally honest, but being very honest and clear about what happened by removing your ego. I know it can be hard sometimes, your pride and especially your emotions, so you can see clearly, okay, I had this mindset, I had this belief, I had these road colored glasses experiencing this situation. So this is what I need to heal from. This is how I'm going to proceed in certain situations differently moving forward. Okay? And forgive yourself because we were all brought up a certain way, and cultural backgrounds have a big impact, and our parents and our peers have a big impact on how we view the world. That's why if you have a strong self sense, like the African proverb that says, for example, if there's no enemy within, the outside enemy cannot harm you. And that is so true because I am one of um, a living example of that proverb. So I know it to be true. But it takes a lot of patience with yourself. It takes a lot of work and dedication on yourself to reprogram your mind that you are no longer this past person and you evolved. You have grown, you have matured on your level at your time. So you have to give it time. It's not going to be a one time thing or a couple of weeks or a couple of months. It may take years, but you have to be dedicated to that, right? In the Odu Oturupomehi, which is the Odu of basically, because Odus are very complex, so we're just scratching the surface here, is the Odu of emotional intelligence. It also goes by the name of the bearer. It speaks about releasing the emotional garbage that one may be carrying that is hindering you from moving forward. This concept is clearly expressed in the song of the great songstress Erica Badu in her song Bag Lady. And for those of you who love Erica Badu in that song, you know what I'm talking about. And she clearly expresses that concept so clearly. So I love that about that song. That's one of my favorite songs. Number four, awareness, particularly self awareness. Awareness is the art of being mindful and enlightened about a particular thing. In this case, taking time to understand our past will help one understand their present reality and take the necessary lessons. It frees you from being entangled in a toxic behavioral pattern because one's adverse past experiences. Okay. An example of this can be someone who finds themselves in repeated toxic relationships with partners, co-workers who end up not respecting their boundaries, trampling all over them, and not really serving the basic needs of a relationship. Okay. Now, I'm not talking about codependency. That's a whole nother beast on its own. So we're keeping it light here. And as a side note in the disclaimer, for those of you who are suffering from deep trauma and more severe experiences, please, I cannot express that enough. Please seek the help of a qualified, board certified, licensed mental health professional. Okay? So we're only going through the lighter things here. This what I am um teaching you, and with through my personal experience, living it, um experiencing it not only through my own life but through my peers and clients and through anyone else's. Please, allopathic medicine works alongside or in conjunction with spiritual and self help. Okay? Please know the difference or when it's time to seek that professional help. Okay? Especially if it's deeply ingrained and you find it very, very hard. Because I know some people, they have deep trauma, even though to some the experience may not seem extreme to the case of certain child abuses or physical abuses, but s- we're not built the same, basically. Okay, and everyone has their threshold of pain on all levels. So please, if it's time to go seek a professional, please do so. This is not a substitute for that. This should be in conjunction, or just go seek out a professional. Okay? They have the three letters behind their name. They went to school, they got the licensure, they're board certified. Please do that route. Okay? I'm just putting out that disclaimer out there. Okay? With light things, self medication or going to a spiritual practitioner is okay. For others, it's not. So don't let anyone fool you. Please go to a licensed professional if need be. Okay? So, moving on. I just had to make sure I keep putting out that disclaimer. Okay? Um, with that being said, in certain relationships, if you find a repeating cycle where the basic needs of a relationship, in order for it to flourish, to grow, and to maintain a steady rate, this pattern could be due to perhaps growing up not learning how to love yourself properly or viewing the dynamic in your immediate environment to be basically unhealthy, and because you were innocent and didn't know, you thought that was healthy, and as you grew up to be an adult that you are now, you're realizing, hey, that was not healthy, right? So as a result, that person's past influences, or your past from this example would influence, you know, you, or have you attract these dysfunctional type of relationships because of the underlying lack of self-worth and self-esteem. Hence it ends up affecting every other relationship that you may decide to undertake, right, until you learn to be more aware of your past and the hindrances and the isms and the traumas and so on and so forth. So once you have correctly diagnosed a correct diagnosis of your past, right? Through shadow work and self reflection, you can properly apply the relevant remedies in the present and be at peace with your past, no longer hostage to reliving the same painful experiences in the present. Thus, this stops the cycle of the reoccurring unhealthy, unhealthy attraction to the dysfunctional relationships. And this is um, not also for the spiritualists or the healers. These types of people, you know why you're attracting these types of people. Now, if you're mistaking, if you're a healer and you know you are a healer at any capacity, and you haven't recognized that you're attracting unhealed partners, like you're mistaking it. I've seen that before, where beautiful healers with beautiful energy would attract people who are unhealed, but they're mistaking it for love. And I understand that sometimes the healer cannot heal itself because Baba Ediogbe in that Odu, the supporter says, when you're meeting with Osogbo OEB resistance, that the healer cannot heal himself. And that's when it's time to say, hey, okay, this person needed healing, not, you know, sexual healing in a way, or not to be in a relationship. They came to you for your healing, for your services, and your discernment wasn't where it needed to be because there's that lesson that you needed to learn, or there's some unhealed things going on there that you need healing from another healer, and that's okay, contingent upon your spiritual court or your ancestors saying that, hey, it's okay to go to another healer. But if you have an ile or you have an elder, that would be the good time to go get that healing. Because as a healer, as a spiritualist, you should not be dating people who are very unhealed. That's a no-no, and that's going to be coming up um, in the next video, because I've seen that pattern where on the tickety tockety, where a lot of unhealed are dealing on a romantic level with the healed. And I'm like, you're a healer. How did you not spot that? One partner, okay. Two partner, I'm like, oh, all right now. Three partner, okay. Like, what are you not seeing here? And not to sound arrogant with it, forgive me, because I've personally been there. And my ancestors had to say, hey, hey, ma'am, you need to heal this. You can't avoid this. You need to know the difference between a healthy love and an unhealthy love, right? And to have the discernment, your discernment on point, on fleek, to know the difference between someone, a man who's coming to you, trying to court you, but actually he's needing dating. So it's kind of like I need to survey the people who come to me to know the difference between, hey, that person needs healing and they're not recognizing it, or they're in complete denial, and it is up to me to shed light. Right, that person was in oyeku, they was in complete darkness, their life going up and down, or they're just, they went Stevie Wonder, and they're not gonna, acknowledge that, hey, I have to heal if I want to attract better. So it's up to me as the healer to speak that light, Ejiope, to say, hey, sir, you don't need to be in a relationship right now. This one needs to be healed. So it's kind of like a pre consultation, right? And if that person doesn't accept, that's their own free will. But you will not be in my circle or in my life for that time frame if you are not healed. Because now my light and me healing, constantly healing myself every day, every day, every day, is going to trigger you. And that's going to cause friction, right? So we need to become aware of this as healers, as spiritual practitioners. But again, that's for another video. Okay, so let's move on to the main takeaways of today's topic, right? Number one, forgiveness. Forgiveness is Giving up the hope that the past could be any different, accepting that it has happened to you. Now, this doesn't mean that accepting that it was okay for it to happen now. Okay? It simply entails accepting that life will not always go the way we want it to and choosing to acknowledge the fact. Lucy Pogriso. Ancestors are saying also, Ifa speaks in Irosumehi, right? The sounding Osun, that Ifa advises not to put too much expectations on others, and you definitely cannot change someone. So if you're expecting someone to act a certain way, to love you a certain way, and they're not meeting certain standards, you need to let them go. And afterwards, sit down and do that self reflection to see, okay, why did I attract this person into my life? Did I truly learn the lesson, or was this a test? Because sometimes you get tests. You don't keep getting tests two, three, four, 5 times. That's not what I'm talking about. Sometimes the universe is like, okay, let's see if you really practice what you preach, sort of say. Okay. Number two, letting go. Letting go of the hurt allows one to no longer be a prisoner of the past. It allows one to move on. Letting go is empowering and helps you be at peace and reserve more energy for investing in your present. Letting go is essential to being at peace with your past, truly. This way, you will undoubtedly take back your power that you would have given away to past events or people, causing you to still be suffering. Okay? Number three, moving on. Moving on is all about not reliving past events over and over in your head and no longer reviving those ugly emotions over and over either. Because you've learned the lesson, and I hope so, because if you didn't learn the lesson, guess what? You're going to keep reliving it. No matter how much you kick and scream, you will keep reliving it. Been there, done that, got a t shirt to prove it. The universe will literally sit there and put you through this endless loop of attracting or reliving the same thing until you say, you know what? Okay, I need the universe to speak to me like I'm two. What am I missing here? Okay, you cannot Lucy Progreso. Ancestor says you cannot opt out of the class. You have to learn the lesson because you are here to evolve. The lesser we reincarnate, the better. I don't want to keep coming down here like this. No, I don't. I don't like you too. Okay, let's move on. So once you've learned the lesson, and now this will help you to handle a similar situation should it arise. And you'll know how to spot the telltale signs, nipping things in the bud before they even go any further. You're like, oh, nope, I see that. Okay, bye. Then your cutoff game gets real strong at that point. Okay? Because I cut off people without hesitation. Anyway, don't cheat your future with your past. It's over. Choose peace. I know you can do it. Okay? So now that you've gotten some new tools under your belt, are you ready to apply what you just learned? I truly hope you are. By the way, I've created a workbook to go along with today's subject to help you get a jump start on creating and implementing real lasting change. You can find your free copy below in the description box. Oh my God, box. There you go. If you need more help, you know where you can find me at themoralcompass.com, where I'll provide more tips and tricks to help you on your journey. Also, if you're new here, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I would love to have you a part of the family, and I'll catch you in the next video. Stay blessed.